All, thank you, Yes, and Dr. Saurabh for having me here. So I'm going to be talking about a shiny reflex in the macula with the aim of guiding a general ophthalmologist what to do when they look at a shiny membrane in the macula. It's not going further. So there can be many causes, but what I'm going to be focusing on is an epiretinal membrane. Epiretinal membrane is nothing but a fibrocellular proliferation at the retinal surface. It causes distortion of the macula on contraction and reduction in the vision. Etiology can be as simple as an idiopathic ERM, which is the greatest prevalence. There is no pathology. There's only a posterior vitreous detachment. And the risk factors are an advancing age and anomalous PVD. Or there can be a host of list of secondary ERMs, which can be iatrogenic. And an important one and on this forum is a cataract surgery as well, with vitrectomies, laser therapies, cryo, retinal vascular disease such as diabetics and vein occlusions, uveitis, retinal tears, detachments, a VMT-related pathology, myopia, trauma, intraocular tumors, ARMD, and retinal dystrophies. So what is an ERM? It comprises of basically two layers. If you look at this diagram, above the red line, which is the ILM, the light pink layer is the extracellular matrix layer, and then above that is a cellular layer. This cellular layer is derived mainly from retinal glial cells, vitreous hyocytes, and RP cells. They transdifferentiate into myofibroblasts and cause ERM contraction. Pathogenesis has three theories. The classical one is that a PVD results in microILM defects, allowing migration of retinal glial cells to the retinal surface. The second one is more accepted, which is anomalous PVD. The residual cortical vitreous that is left, that's got residual hyocytes. These further transdifferentiate into ERM. And then further, the third theory has been recently proposed to show the presence of RP cells in the ERM. They say that there is a migration and transdifferentiation of RP cells all through the retina to form an ERM. Clinical features might as well be asymptomatic. And the common ones are reduced visual acuity and metamorphopsia, which you can see in the above picture in the Amsler chart. And they can also be a central scotoma with loss of central visual function as seen in the lower pictures. Diagnosis is quite simple actually. It's a combination of clinical fundus exam along with an OCT. Clinical fundus exam, you'll see a shiny membrane. There'll be an absent foveal reflex most of the times. A PVD might be present. Retinal ILM folds can be appreciated, and retinal vessel tortuosity or straightening can be appreciated. Along with that, an OCT gives you a definitive diagnosis of a membrane. It will show you the membrane. And along with that, there can be loss of foveal contour, increased central foveal thickness, disorganized retinal layers, ellipsoid zone disruption, steroid macular edema, or a hole formation. Grading of ERM is important to plan management and for prognostication as well. There are two gradings. One is a clinical older grading and the more relevant OCT grading. In the clinical grading, this grade 0 is cellophane maculopathy, which is in diagram A. It's an early stage. It's got a transparent ERM, no distortion. In grade 1, crinkled cellophane maculopathy, it's an intermediate stage. It's got a translucent ERM. And there's distortion of the inner retinal layers. In the grade 2 preretinal macular fibrosis, it's a late stage, which is in C. It shows a thick opaque ERM and full retinal contraction is there. Pseudo hole formation occurs further. It gives a false appearance of a hole, which is due to the ERM. OCT grading, like I said, is more relevant nowadays because it shows the membrane as such. And along with that, in stage 1, the foveal pit is present, but and the retinal layers are well defined with the ERM. Stage 2, foveal pit is absent and well-defined retinal layers are present. In stage 3, the foveal pit is absent, but along with that, there's something called an addition of continuous ectopic inner foveal layer. Now, this is a hyporeflective layer in the foveal region above the inner nuclear layer. And stage 4, there's a foveal pit, there's an EIFL, along with that, retinal layer disruption. 3 and 4 are poor prognostic cases because these are signs of chronicity. Investigations, like I said, OCT is the single most useful ancillary test to diagnose and manage an idiopathic ERM. No other investigation is really required to manage idiopathic ERMs. So what is the role of angiography here? Angiography doesn't really help in managing idiopathic ERMs, but when you're looking at a secondary cause, it might help you with that. So you can find out whether there's a retinal vascular disease underlying, either there's a vasculitis, vascular tumors, and other causes as well. Also, it tells you about the macular status with reduction or disappearance of foveal avascular zone. Other investigations are merely supportive and of little value, but I've just mentioned them here. They are multicolor imaging, fundus autofluorescence, microperimetry, and multifocal ERG. Management is observation and watchful waiting till the time the vision is okay and the patient is not very symptomatic. Vitro pharmacolysis with ocriplasmin has been tried in VMT, but it doesn't really dissolve the ERM. Definitive treatment is surgical removal. With MIVS, there you can give excellent results. But the real question here is when to intervene. So clinically, when the vision goes down or the patient becomes symptomatic in the daily activities, that's a good sign to go in. And along with that, you always need to do an OCT correlation with all the OCT signs that are present, which is an opaque ERM or this loss of foveal contour with increased retinal distortion, ellipsoid zone disruption, CME, etc. Timing is very important. So duration, longer the duration of visual symptoms and OCT, poorer the visual outcome is. So timing, I would say, according to the clinical grading, would be between 0 and between 1 and 2. And in the OCT grading, it's somewhere between the 2 and 3 stages when the retina doesn't turn so bad. Surgery, the aim is to remove the ERM and release all retinal traction. You can either do an ERM peeling or you can do an ERM-ILM double peel. This reduces the risk of recurrence as ILM acts as a scaffold. Phacovidectomy is preferred. It saves the patient second surgery in case cataract present. Now, visual acuity after surgery improves up to 3 years. So the surgery is quite useful in these cases if you need to go in. There are some pre or post-op pictures that I'm going to show. The first one is ERM in a oil-filled eye. The second one is a lamellar macular hole idiopathic ERM. The third one is a macular hole related ERM, and these two are diabetic related ERMs. You see how well they have the retina has turned out after removal of the ERMs. So with that, I'd like to give a take-home message. The simplest test to pick up an ERM is look for an absent foveal reflex and a shiny macular membrane. If OCT is available, that's the gold standard test for ERM diagnosis. If ERM is diagnosed before taking out the patient for a cataract surgery, VR opinion is must before and after surgery. Counsel the patient accordingly, as a patient might start getting more symptomatic because of these symptoms of metamorphopsia and small sclerotomas once the vision improves after cataract removal. And prefer to do a phacovidectomy along with your VR surgeon, saves the patient a second surgery. So I also have, I didn't show any surgery here, but I have a compilation of ERM for people, ERM surgeries for people interested in watching what a surgery looks like. So that's available on my YouTube channel. With that, I'd like to thank the